The world is a tragedy to those who feel, and it's a comedy to those who think. So it's up to you whether you want to make your life comical or you want to make it tragical. It's up to you absolutely. Anyways, good afternoon. So today I'm going to deal with the introduction of literary theory and try to understand what is the relationship between literary theory and literature, right? See, you'll find that there is a symbiotic relationship between literature and literary theory. And if you try to have a look at the history of literary criticism, you'll find that the history of literary criticism, it runs parallel to the history of literature in ancient Greece, right? So you all are aware of Aristotle, and he is the author of the seminal book Poetics, and this is supposed to be, the most important document even today, right? And this is not only a document, this is not only a book, this is the very base for literary studies even today, right? Now let us come to theory. See, the first doubt or the first question is theory anterior to the production of literature? Or is literature anterior to the production of, theory? I hope you are getting my point. Is theory anterior to the production of literature, or is literature anterior to the production of theory? Fine. So this is something you have to think about. Then the other question is, uh, does theory generate practice, or it is practice that generates theory? Getting my point? So is it theory that generates practice, or it is practice that generates theory? Now let us try to have a look at the root of this word theory. See, if you go to the root of the word theory, you will find that the English word theory, it has been taken from the Greek word theoria, 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 and it means contemplation or speculation, right? Now, if theory is a contemplation of practice, try to understand. If theory is a contemplation of practice, then it is a logical account of the principles of practice. Is that clear? Then, see, uh, you know, we have already talked about literary criticism, and today we are talking about literary theory. The other question is whether literary criticism is a separate field of inquiry from literary theory or not. I think it's a very debatable question, right? So whether literary criticism is a different field of inquiry from literary theory, it is a debatable, question. It's a debatable matter. But one thing is very clear, and this is that literary critics have not always been theorists. You can try to have a look at different, literary critics, and you'll find that literary critics, all the literary critics have not always been theorists. So from this viewpoint, you can say that literary criticism is something different and literary theory is something, different. Fine. But there is a very, close relationship between literary theory and literary criticism. Is that clear? Now, what is the difference between literary criticism and literary theory? See, Uh, the only difference between literary criticism and literary theory is that, you know, literary criticism is this is the practical application of literary theory, and on the other hand, literary theory is the philosophical discussion of its methods and goals. I hope you are getting my point. I repeat it. So when you try to have a look at literary criticism and literary theory, and when you try to find out some differences or some difference between the two, you'll find that, literary criticism is the practical application of literary theory, and on the other hand, literary theory is the philosophical discussion of the methods and goals of literary criticism. Right. Uh, so you can say that the two activities are closely related to each other. They are closely related to each other. But there is a book, and that is the John Hopkins Guide to Literary Theory and Criticism. Now, for your kind information, this book makes no distinction between literary theory and criticism. And it says, it describes them as the same concept. It means this book feels, or this book states that, they both are same. Literary theory and criticism, they both are same, and there is no difference between the two. Right. Now, come to the other point, and the other point is, we always say literary theory. Literary theory. So my point is, what is literary about theory? What is literary about theory? See, I very strongly feel that no theory is literary. There is nothing literary about theory. So it is just a lens to look at literature from new perspective. Is that clear? So no theory is literary. There is nothing literary about any theory, and theory is basically a lens through which we can have a look at a literary text or at literature from a different perspective. Right? So theory is like exploring the latest and the new. It is like exploring the latest and the new. It means it gives freedom to have new interpretations of a text. Is that clear? How? See, let me clarify with the help of one example. I hope you all are aware of the text of Hamlet. Fine. And you know that there are a number of problems in the play Hamlet. So the problem of all the problems in Hamlet is that whether there is any delay or there is no delay. I mean, you know very well that Hamlet's father has been murdered by, Claudius, and this fact has been revealed to him by the ghost of his own father. Fine. And then the ghost demands, revenge. Right? So Hamlet takes revenge, but in the very end, he takes revenge, but at a very, very heavy cost when everything is lost, when most of the people, die on this stage. Right? So this is the question of procrastination. The question is whether there is any delay from the side of Hamlet in taking the revenge of his father's murder, or there is no delay. Now, some critics feel that there is delay, some critics feel that there is no delay, and the critics who feel that there is delay, they give a number of reasons for this delay. Right? Now, one reason has been given by Ernest Jones. He was a disciple of Sigmund Freud, and he says that Hamlet delays because he is a victim of Oedipus complex. So I hope you know what is Oedipus complex. I mean that means love for mother and hatred for father. So during the childhood, every child wants to kill his father in order to marry his mother. And during the childhood days, every child, every male child is a victim of Oedipus complex. I mean, he keeps some suppressed feelings, or he keeps some sexual feelings for the mother figure. But when the child grows up, I mean, when the child becomes adult, then he suppresses the feelings because that time the child comes to know that, uh, you know, uh, this is a taboo in the society, and the taboo says that he cannot have, sexual feelings for his mother. And at that time, the child suppresses, his sexual feelings. And you know very well that all the suppressed feelings, they go to the unconscious part of human mind. So the unconscious part of human mind, it gives a warm welcome to all the forbidden ideas, to all the evil things, right? And that's why, it is guided by the id particularly. And the id, it needs pleasure at any cost, either by killing someone, or by beating someone, or by lynching someone into pieces. So its main purpose is to have pleasure at any cost. I mean, it does not care for means. I mean, where the pleasure is coming from, right? So Ernest Jones says that Hamlet delays because he's a victim of Oedipus complex, right? Um, I mean, I'm not going into the detail of this theory of psychoanalysis, or I mean how the sexual feelings are suppressed by a child. I'm not going into its detail. You might have gone through, this concept. Anyways, I'm just talking about I'm just talking about Ernest Jones. So Ernest Jones says that Hamlet delays because he is a victim of Oedipus complex, right? And he says that uh, Hamlet is a manic, Hamlet is a neurotic who suffers from manic depressive hysteria combined with abulia. Abulia, Abulia. Abulia, that means, it's a state when a person is not able to decide, what is to be done and what is not to be done. I mean, when a person is in absolute dilemma, right? So Ernest Jones says that Hamlet is a neurotic who suffers from manic depressive hysteria, right? And further, he says that Hamlet has two father figures. One is the real father, and the other is Claudius, right? So Hamlet worships the real father figure. I mean, this real father figure is like God, like Hyperion to him, and the fake father figure, he is like a serpent, like an evil creature who is spoiling the royal bed of Denmark because he's sleeping with his mother, right? See, uh, you know, if Hamlet has to kill, Claudius, first he will have to kill himself. Why? Now the question is, why does he want to kill Claudius? The answer is that he wants to kill Claudius because Claudius is having sexual feelings for his mother, even he's sleeping with his mother legally, right? But don't you feel that Hamlet is also having sexual feelings for his mother unconsciously? You know, Claudius is sleeping with his mother during the daytime because legally he's the husband of Gertrude. But the other fact is that Hamlet is also having suppressed sexual feelings for his mother in the unconscious part of his mind, right? So if he has to kill Claudius, first he will have to kill himself. Why? Because he's also committing the same crime for which he wants to kill his uncle, for which he wants to kill Claudius. And he wants to kill Claudius because Claudius is having sexual relationship with his mother. He's having sexual feelings for his mother, but unconsciously, Hamlet is also having the same sexual feelings for his mother in his unconscious mind. So the thing is that if he has to kill Claudius first, he will have to kill himself. And in this process, he is able neither to kill himself nor his father. Right? And he kills Claudius in the very end when Gertrude also dies. Because after the death of Gertrude there is nothing left for Hamlet in the world. Right? So he kills Claudius only after the death of Gertrude. And Ernest Jones feels that this point proves that he is a victim of Oedipus complex. Right. Now, this is a kind of interpretation. And this interpretation has been given with the help of a theory, that is psychoanalysis, which has been applied by Ernest Jones. Right. Now, I'm coming back to the point, and the point is that of theory. I told you that theory is basically a lens through which we can have a look at a literary text from a different perspective. Right. So there have been a number of traditional perspectives in relation to the delay of Hamlet, why he is not able to kill his uncle, right? But a new interpretation, that is theoretical interpretation, it has been given by Ernest Jones, and it has been given with the help of the theory of psychoanalysis, right? So, there is nothing literary about theory. Theory is basically a lens to explore something new, and you just can say that it is just a lens to look at a literary text, or to look at literature from new perspective, and it is like exploring the latest and the new, right? So I hope this is absolutely clear to you. So one more information uh, I would like to give you. Rather, it's a question for you people. And the question is that what do you feel about the beginning of English studies? I mean, when do you feel that English studies came into entity? See, the answer is that it was in 1828 that English was offered as a subject of study. Interestingly, not at the Oxford University or the Cambridge University, but it was at the University College in London, which was founded in 1826. So this is a very interesting information. It means English as a subject it was not offered initially at the Oxford University or the Cambridge University, rather at the University College in London, which was founded in 1826. Right? And here also, the course which was offered, it was not on English literature, but it was on language and literary texts. They were used as a source of example, right? Then English literature, for the very first time, it was offered in 1831 as a subject of study, and it was offered at King's College London, right? So my dear students, English literature, for the very first time it was offered in 1831 at King's College, London. Right. Now, if you talk about Cambridge and Oxford universities, you'll find that at these two universities, the subjects, I mean, which were taught there, you know, the subjects were, classics. And these classics basically included, what should I say? Uh, these classics included, ancient Greek and Latin. Fine. Or you can say ancient Greek and Latin literatures, and theology was also there, and mathematics was also there, right? And Catholics and Jews and non-believers you know, were not given admission to these, universities at that time. Why? Because this was the time when the Church of England, it dominated the higher education system. Clear? Then English as it's a subject of study you know at the Oxford University. It was offered in 1894, and in Cambridge University, English as a subject was offered in 1911. So it was quite late when English as a subject was offered at the Cambridge University and the Oxford University. At Cambridge University, it was offered in 1894, and at the Cambridge University, it was offered in 1911. So this was the information for you. Thank you very much. Good day.